Hello, welcome to this week's episode of
See you real soon.
You're going to Disney World.
Woo!
Congratulations. Now you need to decide what tickets to buy. It's a big investment. Tickets are one of the most expensive things when it comes to planning a Walt Disney World vacation.
But it's usually, from what we see, one of the quickest decisions that people make. So we're going to help you and walk you through the process of how you can make the right decision on the right tickets for you and your family. The first thing you'll want to decide is how many days you want to be at the park.
Now this may not be the same number of days as your vacation. If you have a 10-day vacation, you may not want to spend all 10 days in the parks. You may want some days off to go off property or to just relax around the hotel.
Especially think about your traveling days. If you're going to be getting there late into the evening or afternoon, it might not be worth getting a full day park ticket.
One thing to note is the more days you add on to your ticket, the cheaper it is per day. It's actually a nominal increase to go from even a 3-day ticket to a 4-day ticket, or a 4-day ticket to a 5-day ticket, 5-day to 6-day, etc., etc., etc. It's only about 10, maybe slightly more dollars per day you add on after the 3rd day. So you've planned how many days you're going to be in the parks. Now, here are some other factors that will help you decide what additional options you'll want to add on to your ticket.
So in designing those days, you'll probably have either a short or a long type of trip. Short being around 4 days or long being 7 days or more.
If you have a short trip, such as 4 days, there are 4 parks at Walt Disney World. So you can either decide if you want to devote an entire day to each park, or are you going to want to spend more time at one park than another, so you'll want to be going from park to park throughout a day. Maybe one day you'll want to have the morning at Magic Kingdom and hop over to Epcot for dinner. And if you have a longer trip, one thing you may want to consider if you're staying on Disney property is extra magic hours. You may want to start the day at one park, and that park may close early, while another park has extra magic hours later in that evening, and you'll go over to that park for the night.
One thing that I found that when you are going for a longer period of time is that you do hit all the parks at first and give each the equal amount of time, but then after that you just kind of go to each park throughout the day and hit your favorite rides again. So kind of decide where you want to do repeats at, and it's probably going to be at all different parks at different times.
Also, you could try and do the challenge. All 4 parks in one day with the key attractions. Hit Rock and Roller Coaster at Hollywood Studios. Then go to Magic Kingdom and hit Space and Splash Mountain. Then head over to Animal Kingdom, hit Expedition Everest and the Safari. And then go finish your day off at Epcot on Soarin' and Test Track. Crazy.
And again, thinking about you and your family's preferences, we think that meals is something to consider. Look at the restaurants and ones that you enjoy, and you might see that it might be at a certain park. For example, Epcot, of course, has a lot of great food, so you might go to Hollywood Studios earlier that day that doesn't have as many sit-down options, and then go to Epcot for dinner.
If by now you've decided that you're going to want to spend different parts of the same day in different parks, then you will need the park hopper option.
But do know that you don't need to add the park hopper option until you're even at the park. So you might not even know until a few days into your trip that you want to add the park hopper, and you do get that option.
One mistake a lot of people make is they buy the park hopper option before they're even at Disney World, and then 5 days into their trip they realize that they don't want to hop anywhere. So if you don't add the park hopper option when you buy your tickets, but then 5 days into your trip or 3 days into your trip, you decide, hey, we're at Magic Kingdom now, we'd really like to go to Epcot for dinner, you can always add the park hopper option while you're at the parks for the same price you would do if you added it ahead of time.
When we were talking about your style, if you don't quite know it yet because you really haven't been to Disney, then you're probably going to want to test it out first and then buy the park hopper if you decide to do so once you're at the parks. Or if you're more of a veteran and already know, like us, we know that we do like the park hopper. But it's always up to you, and it is nice to be able to decide once you're at the park.
Now to add park hopper to your tickets while you're at the park, all you have to do is go to customer service or guest relations.
Another addition that you can add to your park ticket is the Water Parks and More option.
The Water Parks and More option gives you admission to Blizzard Beach, Typhoon Lagoon, Disney Quest, as well as some golf courses around Walt Disney World, and the Wide World of Sports complex. The cost of adding the Water Parks and More option is slightly more than the cost of a one-day water park admission.
Therefore, it only benefits you if you use the option for 2 days or more. But this option again is one that you'll want to consider possibly buying at the parks once you're there, because we've come across this many times where the weather that week has not been optimal for the water parks, and then you're stuck with the tickets.
Are you one of those people that's decided you want a park hopper option and the water park and more option?
Go big or go home.
You can save on the cost of them by combining them. An example is currently that the park hopper is a $57 add-on and the water park and more option is a $57 add-on. But if you add both of them, it's only a $79 add-on. Saves you $35. The final option you can add is the no expiration option. It sounds like it may be a good deal off the bat, but the no expiration option is actually very expensive to add. Hundreds of dollars. At that point, you'll want to look at why you're adding the no expiration option. Do you have another trip planned that's coming up? If that trip is in less than a year, you'll want to consider annual passes. An annual pass is actually cheaper than buying a 10-day park hopper with no expiration. And annual passes automatically have the park hopper included in them. If your trips are more than a year apart, then you'll want to also look at the fact that you may need more than 10 days. If those trips are more than 10 days, you'll end up having to buy another ticket, which is a significant add-on in cost. But do the research, do the math.
A benefit of having an annual pass is that you get discounts at a majority of the merchandise throughout the parks, so make sure to ask.
Also, with an annual pass, you get the right to purchase Tables in Wonderland for a small fee, which then will give you 20% off most restaurants at Walt Disney World. But you have to have an annual pass to get that.
And again, that's one that you're going to want to know your style of eating. If you sit down at restaurants a lot, then it's going to be worth it. If you don't, then it might not. Now we've figured out exactly the right ticket for you and your family. Where do you buy it?
There are a few options. The first, of course, being directly from Walt Disney World. You can buy it on their website, you could buy it by phone, or you could buy it when you get to the parks. There are other options out there as well that may save you money, however. One of those being Undercover Tourist online. It's a website that's highly reputable, used by many people every year. Take the moment to look at their prices online. One thing to keep in mind when looking at Undercover Tourist prices is that their prices include sales tax and shipping, whereas the tickets on the Walt Disney World website do not include tax. So they may look closer than they are. If you do get a ticket from Undercover Tourist, it will be one of those paper tie-back tickets. However, you can add that to your Key to the World card if you just bring it to the hotel front desk or to the guest services area of the park.
We hope that this helped the ticket process be a little less overwhelming for you. It can be lots of fun imagining what your trip's going to be like and making sure that you're doing the optimal choice for you and your family.
Until next time, see you real soon!
Hello. How are you?
The video doesn't talk back.
I always like to ask the viewer how they're feeling.
And how do you think the viewer's feeling right now?
I hope good because they see me.
I would think sad because they're not at Disney.
That's true.